Oh, guys, look.
Yeah.
It's Darren Drager.
Hey, Drag.
We have breaking news, actually. It's broke a few minutes ago. I really wanted Hayes to do it from the Drager position, but we'll let Drags do it. So one of the defensemen that Toronto was reportedly looking at from Calgary is now a Vancouver Canuck in Zadorov.
Yeah, Zadorov gets traded by the Calgary Flames to the Vancouver Canucks, and many around the National Hockey League are surprised at the level of return that Calgary gets back. They get back a fifth-round pick in 2024 and a third-round pick in 2026, and many are going, geez, is that enough? But the Flames didn't have to retain any salary, and this is ultimately about cap flexibility for Craig Conroy and the Calgary Flames. But you do want to link it back to the Toronto Maple Leafs, because we know that the Leafs had interest in Zadorov. They still have interest in Chris Tanev, but it was about the salary retention. You know, it's dollar in, dollar out for the Toronto Maple Leafs, so that has to mesh. And then you've got the history of Brad Treliving, formerly of the Calgary Flames.
Is that why it didn't happen, Drake?
I wouldn't say that's why.
If we were on air right now, everyone would be saying, why didn't Toronto pull the trigger on that?
No, do I think that that was a factor in the decision-making from Calgary's perspective? I think it probably was. Look, Murray Edwards' ownership of the Calgary Flames, they're probably not looking to do Brad Treliving or the Toronto Maple Leafs any favors, but Tree would have had to have overpaid, and there was conversation about both defense, Tanev and Zadorov. And would Toronto have the stomach to include a first-round pick or one of their coveted prospects?
Calgary would have asked for the world for those two guys,
100%
right?
they would have. They would have.
Now, so do we read from this that Calgary's open for business, or, you know, then the Tanev's more likely to be dealt, or?
It reads that way. Open for business, yeah. But, you know, again, I think the rate of return now is likely going to have to be a bit loftier. There's always a heightened value on a right shot defense. And when you've got the experience and the character of Chris Tanev or Noah Hanifin, I mean, there's speculation that maybe the Islanders dive in on Noah Hanifin and he gets the extension that way. So those pieces are definitely in play, but I wouldn't say that Craig Conroy is putting the fire sale up.
But
That's
to me,
the
dominoes have to start now. You see, now this is a defenseman that has been talked about, linked to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs, they need help. I mean, there's no secret with that. We've got 3 regulars from the opening night that aren't in the lineup. So if you're Brad Treliving, other managers that are looking for defensemen, to me there has to be a level of urgency now trying to acquire. And the marketplace has been set.
He's grinding.
Yeah, and the price has been set here, right? Like Zadorov, you got to be clear on what he is. He's a third-pairing guy. This is not Cale Makar that you're acquiring. So a third and a fifth for Zadorov, who's a UFA at the end of the year. But Tanev's better. And Tanev is more coveted, I would think, league-wide as well, right? So if you're the Leafs, you understand it's a third and a fifth and maybe a little bit more because of the history between the GM and the owner. Yet the Leafs are desperate. I mean, they got William Lagesson going from the press box to the second pair tonight. They're in
How
trouble here in
desperate
terms
do you
of
think they are?
injuries.
Do you want to move like now?
Yes,
or
I think so. It's not only about, you know, the weathering the storm the next month, though. Like Tanev helps them to win playoff games, and that's got to be a part of the conversation as well.
Does this like make things more urgent for a guy? Like, does Toronto say now we got to pull the trigger on something, or can this just go on for a long period of time?
Well, not for a long period of time. It could drag out a little bit longer, but it also puts the heat on some of the other clubs that are shopping these defense. You know, we've talked about the Philadelphia Flyers and some of the pieces that they have in play on Sealer, on Walker. There's, believe it or not, some nibbles on Ristolainen right now because his play is elevated. Columbus has defense available. So now those general managers are looking what Craig Conroy got back for a mammoth physical defenseman who Rick Tocchet is going to like. He likes those guys on the back end. And they're probably getting a little twitchy, too, so we'll see.
Good on Vancouver, too. They're a top-tier team, and they're adding. They're adding to the pool.
That's the other part of this. Like, you focus on Calgary, but Vancouver's saying, we believe in our team, clearly, and they're going for it here.
Until Toronto can get a defenseman, they're stuck with what they have right now and have to depend heavily on the goaltending.